Since we don't want to get caught, we plan ahead, are we crazy or what? We plan ahead, are we crazy or what?
Hi, I'm Jennifer with Self-Reliance School, and today I am going to show you how to dehydrate apples without them turning brown. Then I'm also going to show you how to make some cinnamon dehydrated apples. So let's get started. So the first thing we need to do before we dehydrate our apples is decide whether we want to remove the skin or not. You can dehydrate your apples with the skin on if you prefer, but if you have children or other people that are going to eat your dehydrated apples that might be a little picky, then you might want to remove them. You're definitely going to need to cut them up and slice them. And I'm going to use this little gadget called an apple core peeler slicer, right? And it does all of those things, and I am going to take the skin off of my apples when I dehydrate them. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to put the apple in like this, just kind of get it on there, and then I am going to move it forward and then just start turning, and this gadget does all the work for you. So I'm just going to finish up here, and then I want to show you how nice that is already sliced for us. Now you will need to go ahead and just slice it in half, and that's just pretty easy. Just go ahead and slice down the middle, but before I do that, I want to go ahead and spray the apple with a little bit of lemon juice, because that's how I am going to keep my apples from turning really dark brown. And like I said, for some people, to make them unappetizing, they would still be perfectly fine to eat, so don't worry about that. But I'm just going to give that little extra spray of lemon juice so that they will stay nice and pretty. So I'm going to do that to the outside of the apple before I slice it. Then I'm just going to slice it right down the middle. And while the apple is still all together, I'm going to give another spray on the inside like that. And then I'm just going to start loading my trays right here. And I'm just going to make them all lay down as flat as I can. Okay, so once I have my tray loaded and everything is as flat as possible with filling all the little crevices with apple, then I'm just going to make room here for these last couple. Just as long as they're flat, it'll fit, right? Okay, so then I'm going to take my lemon juice and I'm going to give the whole tray a couple of sprays. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to carefully turn them over and spray the other side. So I'm just going to carefully turn them over. It just takes a minute. This would be a great activity to do with little kids. They would love to sit here and help you turn them over and spray the other side. Okay, once I have them all turned over, then I'm going to spray the opposite side. And if you're wondering if this lemon juice is going to make your apples sour, it is not. You're not even going to taste it. They are going to be super sweet. If it bothers you, you can put them in a bag and put a little bit of sugar in there and shake the bag up so that they all have a slight coating of sugar. But I have not done that, and I don't think it needs it. They are super sweet anyway. If you start with really good sweet apples, then you're not going to taste any part of the lemon. So then after you've got your tray loaded, what you're going to do is go ahead and put it in your dehydrator, and then you are going to put your dehydrator on for get this lid on here, 8 to 12 hours at 135 degrees. So I'm going to set my dehydrator, and then I'm going to turn on my timer. So here I have the dehydrated apples. So I'm just going to take them out here, and then I am going to balance them on the counter. You can tell they are completely dehydrated. I wanted to tell you that you should not throw away those apple skins if you have organic apples, because what you can do is you can dehydrate those apple skins, and then you can go ahead and grind these up, and then you can make like an herbal tea. You can put them in herbal tea bags and then make some herbal apple tea, which is absolutely delicious. So in just a minute, I am going to tell you about some recipes that you can use these dehydrated apples in besides just eating them off the tray. But first, let's talk about how to make dehydrated cinnamon apples. To make the cinnamon apples, you're going to do the exact same thing in terms of getting the skin off and slicing them. You're going to go ahead and slice them in half once you have put them through your apple core slicer or peeler, and make sure that it did a good job and get any seeds that are remaining. This apple was lopsided. It does a great job, but if you have lopsided apples, then you might have to cut a little bit more. Okay, so to make the cinnamon apples, what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and we're going to put our slices in a bag. Then I have some cinnamon here, and I am going to add, about a teaspoon or so. You can add cinnamon to taste, so you can add a little bit more or a little bit less depending on what you and your family like. So I'm just going to add just about that much, and then you can go ahead and shake this bag up and put the apples on your dehydrating trays. At this point, if you like, I am going to make a little bit sweeter treat by also adding just a little bit of sugar. And of course, make sure that you have good quality sugar to add to your apples. Okay, so I'm just gonna add maybe 4 teaspoons or so. And then I'm gonna take my bag and zip it up. And then I'm going to shake it. Okay, so that looks about good. Now I didn't worry about the lemon juice at this point because of course the cinnamon is going to give the apples a dark color anyway, so I did not bother with the lemon. So at this point, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take them out of the bag and lay them on my trays, getting them as flat as possible. Okay, so once you've got your tray full, make sure everything is flat, and then what you're going to do is you're just going to put them in the dehydrator, and these are going to go on for the same amount of time. So that's 8 to 12 hours depending on the humidity where you live. So I'm just going to get that in there at 135 degrees. So I'm going to get my door on here and set my timer. So here are some dehydrated cinnamon apples, and they are completely dry. And super delicious. So what can you do with these dehydrated apples? You can make apple and sweet potato roast, or you can make the best apple crisp you've ever had. Be sure and grab the recipe to find out my secret ingredient. Or you can just eat them off the tray. Be sure to click the link so that you can grab my free cheat sheet on how to store your dried food, because sometimes it's difficult to know if you're going to put it into long-term storage or short-term storage, how to store it, whether you use a Mylar bag, a mason jar, or something else. So be sure to grab my free guide, and it will tell you everything you need to know about storing your dehydrated food. And then I'm also going to give you those recipes for the other things that you can do with your dehydrated apples besides eat them off the tray. Take care until we talk again.